listening to
A to the K.
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 A to the K. Wrestle Talk Podcast.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.
So you're here again with the podcast of doom. I am the Road Warrior Anthony, and I'm joining me as always, the other half of A to the K. It's the Road Warrior Carl.
Well, Anthony, oh boy, I just want to say to all these people listening to the Pod Warriors, water.
Love it. Fantastic. Do you know what I was thinking? Like that, I'm probably going to be more able to do that the next day after I've had a few of these. What a hangover. Now, joking aside, guys, you've probably noticed, any of those of you who are watching it on YouTube, you can see this week we've decided to pay homage to the Legion of Doom by donning their face paints for this particular episode. So I think it's only right that before we kick off the show, we pay our respects to the Road Warrior animal who sadly passed away last week. So we'll take a moment of silence for that, and the only thing we can say is our thoughts are with his family. Okay, so there's no with stuff like that. There's never an easy way to segue. So shall we sort of quick run through of what we're going to do this week? We've got the Ringside report. We're going to be covering all the latest news and rumors this week. Then we're going to cover an extended This Week in Wrestling. That's right, guys. We're back on the pay-per-views. We've got the Clash of Champions this week. So we'll be covering This Week in Wrestling. We'll be covering the Big Four, and then we'll be leading on to the pay-per-view Clash of Champions Gold Rush. No, not the mobile game. The pay-per-view. Sorry, Carl, I'll rob that from you, who likened it to the... I think, is there an actual game called Clash of Champions? I believe there is.
Probably. Yeah, I think there is.
Anyway, so we'll start out with the Ringside report. So, Carl, would you like to do the run-through, or is it my turn? What would you like me to do?
I did it last week, and I definitely haven't made any tongue twisters in there.
Yeah, I bet you haven't. Okay.
Same.
Coming up tonight on the Ringside report, Nia Jax, Nikki Cross, and Shayna Baszler pulled from Clash of Champions. The Rock is set to appear on Impact Wrestling. Rob Van Dam has left Impact Wrestling. Wonder if that's related to The Rock. Eric Bischoff slams Retribution, and T-Bar of Retribution fires back. We have WWE officially announce a 2-night date for the draft for the roster. We have Robert Roode potentially not returning to the TV anytime soon. We have the WWE set to leave Thunderdome after October. We have yet again more trademarks from the WWE filing trademarks for the Ultimate Warrior, surprisingly. We have a seldom seen NXT tag team potentially having their push stopped. We'll discuss that more. Stephanie McMahon selling a large amount of WWE stock. We have The Undertaker teasing a return. That's right. He couldn't even make it a year. We have Roman Reigns blaming Jon Moxley for screwing up the Shield. And lastly, we have T-Bar of Retribution taking shots at AEW and Chris Jericho, kind of.
Shots.
I like this guy. All that coming up right now. So the first one, I think is me. Is it me? It's me. And we're going to discuss it very briefly, because we're going to discuss it now. But as a lot of you know, the card was billed for Clash of Champions to have a women's tag team title match with Nia Jax, Nikki Cross. No, not Nikki Cross. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler going up against the Riot Squad, or the reformed Riot Squad. And we also had a women's title match between Bayley and Nikki Cross. Now, the tag match was pulled in its entirety with no replacement that I could see. And the Bayley match was sort of replaced. And we'll discuss that a bit more when we're talking about the pay-per-view, but obviously didn't include Nikki Cross. Now, the only explanation WWE have offered when changing the card was that they weren't cleared to wrestle and haven't gone into any sort of detail. We've seen Nia Jax on, I want to say, Twitter, social media, putting up just simply lies. So could that be a bit of truth? Is she a bit bitter about it, or is it just playing into the heel character that she is? But what we do know is that it's heavily rumoured that this is COVID related, which would make a fair bit of sense. And in all fairness, I'm not going to try and take shots at WWE just because there's potentially shots to take. This was the responsible thing to do if that was the case. The only thing I don't understand is if that is the case, why they're so squeamish about mentioning it. These things happen. We're currently living in that situation. It would do no harm to WWE to show that they're being responsible and saying we're not taking the risk, and this is the case. But so far, they're just saying they were not cleared to wrestle, and significant changes made. Let's say, Carl, what do you make of this one?
Yeah. I mean, to your point just then, like, AEW straight away, Lance Archer, got COVID, so we're going to pull him. They don't just faced into it. It is life. Life exists. It happens. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We're in the middle of a pandemic. People have got, the opportunity to, get sick and stuff happen to them. And,
Yeah.
instead of shying away from that, just be overt about it and talk about it. But, our buddy Dave Meltzer is, so sure about everything that it could be 1, 2, or 3, or maybe none of them who have, know somebody who has COVID or been in contact with somebody. By all accounts, it's none of them three. Yeah,
whatever.
On the phone. But by all accounts, it's none of those 3 actually being symptomatic or having tested for this virus. But,
But again, this is the thing where that's what puzzles me about WWE not saying nothing, because that's responsible. They know that there's risk of exposure, even if they haven't shown symptoms. That's a responsible thing they're doing. So why would they shy away from saying that?
Do you know what I also thought was mad as well? Like, I didn't see Nikki Cross as the kind of gal who would hang out with Shayna Baszler or Nia Jax. So why them 3? Like, I get the 2 of them are tag champs, but Nikki wasn't meant to be in a match or anything with those guys. So
I mean, that's a really good point, actually.
Kind of common denominator between the 2, but I don't know. Like, if it is to do with that,
I mean, I suppose the reality is that they're all together, aren't they, at the Thunderdome, as much as they're on separate shows. So the chance they could all interact with one another, but you think, like, if it sort of breached the Thunderdome, as it were, that there's a chance that it's like oh well, there's half the roster gone. So what exactly has happened? Has just been these 3.
Yeah, no idea. Strange. And I suppose as well, which we'll maybe come on to it when we talk about the actual pay-per-view. But if anything, I feel sad for the Riot Squad, if anyone, because even though I'm still pissed off about the whole thing with Liv and having to reform the Riot Squad and stuff like that. But to have them just
you just gotta live with it.
You only live once, and you don't live much at all when you fucking live more. I'm gonna tell you,
just live and let live.
Live and let live. But yeah, strange one. Definitely odd that they haven't offered any kind of real explanation behind it as such.
An unusual one, to say the least. But it's made for some changes on Clash of Champions, which okay, we'll discuss that further when we're talking about the pay-per-view. I do have some issues with some of the decisions they made, but we'll talk about that further. That's right. It's a teaser, guys. It's a teaser. You got to listen to the whole fucking thing now.
Stay tuned.
Find out what I'm talking about. What am I going to say? Who knows? Find out later.
So speaking of strange things, Anthony, who thought sitting here in 2020, and the year 2020 has been a bit of a clusterfuck as it is, but who thought we would be sat here in 2020 with The Rock, a bigger star than he ever was, making his Impact debut? That is right. The Rock is going to appear on Impact.
That's right. And it's going to have a hell of an impact.
I couldn't have an impact. But no, he's not going to be there in person, of course. He only shows up via satellite, as John Cena mentioned. But so, interestingly, Ken Shamrock has been inducted into the Impact Hall of Fame. And he posted a tweet and tagged The Rock in it and basically said, I'd be very grateful if you could send me an induction greeting. After all, I believe my time with you was my greatest memories in wrestling. And that's like an awesome thing, really. If you think back to the old Attitude Era days where Shamrock was like the IC champ and he had the corporation and stuff, and those guys had a bit of a thing and stuff like that. Like it's great to see that even back then, The Rock had such an impact on Shamrock's career. And The Rock has basically replied saying, congratulations, awesome news. I'll take care of it. I'll get it to you by this weekend. So, class act that The Rock is.
He's a legend.
He is. He's a fucking absolute
He's just
legend.
awesome. Like, what a guy.
Like, this is a guy as well who's probably not even quite over coronavirus yet, because obviously him and his whole family tested positive for it, and were ill for a number of weeks. And here he is, just like he hasn't kind of skipped a beat. I think in this time of him having COVID, he's ripped his electric gate off. It's just he's an animal, isn't he? So,
honest to God, like he just. There's a bit in this is a random tangent, but like, and I mean this in an affectionate way, but he's just a big muscle-bound nerd, isn't he?
Oh God,
he's one of us, but he's jacked. But fair play. And I don't mean this as a slight at all, but like it surprised me in a way because I don't ever really connect the two guys. Like he's obviously had a big impact for Ken Shamrock, like as Ken Shamrock rightly said. But like for me, I'm like I never really put the two together as far as WWE goes. So I was a little bit surprised as well. But that, fair enough.
You know what's weird? Like I would never think of putting them two together, and then as soon as I saw this news, instantly I could flash back to Ken Shamrock hitting the ankle lock on The Rock, and him just being there like fucking selling it like a fucking absolute legend. And it is like you think about it, and you're like, fucking hell, they were in the corporation together. They had that IC title feud. They actually have had a lot of beef in the past. So it's
just funny, isn't it? Because your mind doesn't go straight to their feuds, but they were impactful. Not to throw another pun in there.
These guys really made an impact.
Fair enough. What a guy. And Ken, obviously, stellar career at this point. Well deserves to be in. Again, shamefully, didn't know Impact had the Hall of Fame, but there you go.
I mean, in fairness to Ken,
we're bound to, but
like Ken, like holy shit! Like how old is this guy now? He has been a UFC veteran. He's been a WWE Intercontinental Champion. Had a fantastic run there.
I mean, this guy was awesome on UFC before it was even a thing.
Oh fuck yeah! This guy was UFC like from UFC 1 onwards. Like this guy founded that company pretty much. So he's an absolute legend in my eyes. So amazing, and class act that The Rock is. Fair play to him to agree to it, take him up on it, and record a video for Impact. So who knows, Anthony? How about we in celebration of The Rock and what a legend he is, when we hit our next milestone, how about we celebrate over a glass of Terramana tequila?
Love it. No, to be fair, right? We're getting that many different like celebrities doing things like that, right? That I think we should try and find like all the sort of wrestling endorsed things, and maybe do a bit of a sample. I would love to try some of that tequila. Is it tequila?
I've been trying to find it's tequila. Yeah, I've been trying to find some Broken Skull IPA, but I can't find that anywhere over here as well.
I know. See, this is the thing. This is a market you need to consider, Steve and Dwayne. It's harder for us in this country to get your products. Maybe think international. That's all I'm saying.
This is very true. And we can represent CM Punk and have a swig of Pepsi. So yeah, all the drinks, all the drinks.
Did you go to CM Punk? You go to CM Punk because it said Dwayne.
Maybe.
Dwayne.
I'm breaking the fourth wall. Oh wait. This way. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that is my news item for you, Anthony.
Speaking of Impact,
nice.
We I think mentioned last week that Rob Van Dam had a couple of projects lining up coming up with WWE and was somewhat vague about those projects. So this kind of ties into that because it would appear Rob Van Dam has now left Impact Wrestling. This is a little bit of a strange one because he's not strictly left because he weren't strictly contracted to them. It's simply that they were sort of on a pay-as-you-go basis, I suppose.
Never change, Impact. Never change.
Oh yeah, but basically it's been cited as like, well, that was comes to the natural end of the storyline, and you know, I'm not sticking around now for another one. So it looks like Rob Van Dam is off to pastures new, or pastures old, because it looks like he's coming back to WWE in some capacity, evidently. So I don't know. This further fuels my theory, Carl, that we're going to see him in the ring again in WWE. I reckon.
I mean, it's definitely interesting. I mean, we spoke about it, didn't we? Him like coming out, and at the time in that interview, he was like, "No, I'm quite enjoying TNA. I like, quite enjoying Impact. I get to, wrestle."
I think he very clearly said TNA, but he went talking about wrestling.
That's very true. Based on the stories we've heard. But yeah, so I don't know. At the time, he didn't seem like he was leaving Impact anytime soon. He liked the reduced schedule. He kind of, dismissed any kind of return to WWE or going to AEW or anything like that because of that schedule. So now
I kind of get
it,
but he can still have a reduced schedule with WWE. I mean, we've seen it with Ray. Ray wasn't contracted for a few weeks there. I know he is now, but he was working on a case-by-case basis. He could have just gone, right, I'm done, whenever he wanted. He's now signed up because he wants them to push Dominic to the moon. But speculation, obviously. But yeah, I mean, for me, I still think he can keep that schedule, but on the biggest platform in the world.
Like, I don't know. Like, I'm a huge Rob Van Dam mark, but is it right to have RVD come back on a part-time schedule and be another old school talent who they bring back and they can't just get any of their current talent over?
Now, are you asking whether it's right or whether it's something WWE would do? Because these are two very different things.
This is very true.
Because all it needs is for the ratings to drop and Vince to panic, and we will see him. We will see anyone. He'll just.
Can the ratings drop anymore? But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. If he comes back and he wrestles a match, I'm fucking all for it because RVD is a legend. But yeah, is it the right thing to do? Maybe not. I guess when he did that interview saying he had these projects coming up and stuff, I never thought it would be him actually return to the ring. I know that you had some kind of thought that he might. So who knows? Maybe this is you heard it here first, courtesy of this man, Dresses Animal, right here. But we will see. That's me.
That's my inner animal. It's very friendly. Right.
Okay.
So the next
one.
So
Anthony. T-Bag. I mean T-Bar. I mean T-Bar. Retribution's finest.
I thought we were talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Sorry. Rocksteady.
Bebop from Retribution.
Yeah. But no. So Eric Bischoff on his 82 Weeks podcast. Actually, it was brought up a little bit around Retribution and his thoughts on it and stuff. And let's just say he wasn't a fan. He said it was a bad angle and he's got some major critiques about it. So he's not saying nothing we don't all agree with, to be fair. But T-Bag...
It's like he's watched it.
I know, right? But T-Bag has very, affectionately taken kind of hindrance to this. And he's not best pleased, Anthony. He's not best pleased. So we better make sure our podcast doesn't start, going all like glitchy and stuff.
Oh, might go upside down.
That's all he's capable of.
Or play a little bit faster than normal again.
If only we had the skills, Anthony. It would be a great time in the post-edit to do something really quirky with this. I don't have the skills. Maybe you do, but
that surprised me so.
But yeah, so T-Bar has kind of taken umbrance to this, if you will, and has sent out a bit of a bitchy tweet back to Eric Bischoff, where he's gone, "Thank you, Bischoff. You're a huge inspiration for Retribution. We too aspire to one day destroy $1 billion wrestling company and bury it under fiery wreckage."
To be fair, I have to give credit where credit's due. That was quite funny.
I mean, it was savage. It was absolutely savage.
Yeah, I don't want to like Retribution at this point because they're just they're a mockery of their own fucking mentality. We're gonna ruin this company by signing deals and making money. Okay, but that was funny. I'll give them the due. That amused me.
Do you know what's proper annoying me about Retribution at the minute is the fact that They were causing all this chaos. WWE were like, well, do you know what? We're going to sign them. And it's like, right, because obviously you would sign these people. And lo and behold, all this fucking stupid shit has stopped now. So it's like, oh, right, so they really are a fucking vigilante gang. Not. They just want these little emo kids that wanted a payday.
Fucking sellouts, that's what they are. And I know it's story-wise, but they could at least keep, wreaking havoc. This is just the equivalent of when Batista made his return and just constantly went, "Give me what I want." That's all they were doing.
That was so bad. Like thinking back to that, he's a fucking actor. Do you know what I mean? Give me what I want. Give me what I want. Give me what I want. Dave, chill the fuck out, man.
And he got what he wanted though, so it worked.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. I don't see this is the thing where you could go, well, maybe WWE are aware of what they've done and it's going to be part of the angle, but it's not. They're totally not aware that the group of sellouts. So they're like, we're going to ruin the place from the inside. That's why we signed these contracts that give us a lot of money because we want to bring this company down because they're not fair to wrestlers and they don't give them contracts like this for money.
I mean, imagine a 75-year-old man being out of touch with what's relevant today.
I know, right?
Imagine.
Unreal.
Crazy
and
world
again,
in which we
you're
live.
still just a big group of geeks who just like, oh, let's mess with the production truck, yay! Like that's not intimidating. And then I don't know why I've gone onto this round, but they sell it even further by all turning up with as their favorite fucking TV characters. Like, oh, we've got Jason Voorhees and we've got the Predator and we've got Bane. Like,
yeah. And a group of vigilantes are always like, these WWE superstars really grinding my gears, yo. That's pretty much how they are.
Yeah. And it's like you can put a voice on all you want, Djokovic. Yeah, because that's another thing. Apparently, we're not meant to know that they're already signed to NXT, so there was no fucking contract signed at all. Like
Dominic Djokovic.
Already WWE talent.
Dominic Djokovic talks like Batman, dresses like Bane. That is him to a T.
They need to lean into how goofy it is. I want to see him go full Batman. Just trying to find the rest of Retribution backstage. Like, where are they? Go for it. Fuck it. It's stupid.
Yeah.
You see, because he's the hero that WWE deserves, but not the one they need right now, Carl.
That nobody fucking wants right now.
So yeah,
that is
5-minute rant on Retribution there. But that was actually quite fun. No, my face painted. That was actually quite. Sorry, I scratched my nose. That was actually.
You know
quite
what?
funny.
Right. I'm not being funny, but since COVID and has come about, and it's like you need to be careful about touching your face and stuff. Like that was the thing when you got fucking face paint on. Oh my god, do you become aware of it? I'm like, I'm just gonna no. I've had an itch for 3 hours. I'm just it won't go away, Anthony. I can't scratch it.
I kind of get why they usually look angry.
Yeah,
it's the itch on the nose. Like... But again, sorry, digression again. We're still trying to do the news. Right, what have we got next?
Oh no, I've done it again. I've just done it again.
It's so difficult. Right, so the next one, Carl. WWE have now officially announced the draft, which we all said was going to be in October. And guess what? It's going to be in October. And they're actually doing it over 2 nights now this time. So as far as dates go, the draft is going to begin on October the 9th on WWE SmackDown. And then we're going to conclude the draft on October the 12th, which I'm a bit perplexed how that's going to work.
That's Friday SmackDown, Monday Raw.
Aren't we pretty much going to know everyone who's going to Raw by what SmackDown got?
Nah.
No? Okay.
Come on. This is WWE. Someone's going to get drafted and going to get drafted back. And it's going to be like Roman Reigns goes to Raw and then SmackDown will trade them 7 people to get Roman back. All that shenanigans.
I'd be more amused if they just made a big wheel of names. That way.
Yeah, same. To be fair, I just think I don't know. It's another draft, and what are they going to do with it? Really, don't get me wrong. Raw could do with a shake-up. It really could because it fucking bores the life out of me.
Superstar shake-up.
Oh, maybe they should copyright that. But yeah, I don't know. Am I excited for this? Am I fuck? Because I don't know. It's just going to be the same shit over and over again.
I think they've ruined their own momentum and their own excitement with this because we've seen people being traded all fucking year.
Yeah, and like that, the weird rules about we can have 7 stars go to this show, but only 4 stars go to this show. But it's we can cut rules.
Yeah, and we're gonna obviously have Bailey and Sasha Banks go to NXT for no reason. We're not even gonna bother explaining that one. And then Mandy Rose, because we can't do anything with her storyline wise, is going to move to Raw, and we're going to call it a trade, but there's not going to be any quid pro quo. So SmackDown are going to get nobody. Maybe all this random shit you do all year, WWE makes the whole draft a little bit pointless.
Also, in kayfabe, just like thinking back, is Charlotte Flair dead? Like where? Like have they explained where she is?
She took some time off. I think they did put a thing out saying like she's going to be away for a few weeks or whatever. I even feel like we covered it. I don't think it was ever really mentioned on TV because typical Vince doesn't like to talk about things on TV. Like when Roman had to not be around for a while, it was like nobody talk about Roman or you're fired. Strange approach, but there you go. But I feel like it was covered by Charlotte on social media when she took some time off. And you'll know when she's due back because they'll be allowed to mention her name.
That is true. I mean, it's very rare that people fade into obscurity. But the next item on the list, Anthony, is I'm going to talk about Robert Roode.
I feel so bad for this guy because before I saw this news article, I was like, oh, yeah. Like, I haven't missed him. I'm sorry, Robert. You're actually a really cool guy. Like, I think you could be something, but I honestly forgot you were the...
Like... In NXT, he was so good as the glorious Bobby Roode. Like, he was fucking awesome. And, this guy's been around for years. He's been a TNA vet, and they finally brought him over. And by all accounts, he was a Triple H guy. But apparently, for whatever reason, it just seems like Vince just hasn't warmed to him whatsoever. So
he's just fallen into that typical thing of, we've called you up from NXT, and we don't know what to do with you. This seems to be like a thing now, doesn't it, with WWE? Like the minute they're called up to the main roster, people get a little bit nervous because they've not got a good history with main roster call-ups.
Yeah,
I don't even think we're allowed to call them main roster call-ups anymore, but you know what I'm saying.
Oh no, they're all equal, Anthony. They're all equal.
And then Vince topped himself, right, by going, you know what, I'm going to ruin
Vince
7.
Topped himself?
No, how many is there? 5. No, 5. I'm going to ruin 5. The NXT talents in one swoop and create retribution. That's impressive.
I mean, that's true. That's true.
Wow.
Thought he just created another storyline that missed them, where he literally topped himself, and it's
I mean, it's not beyond the realms of possibility. Because as we recall, there was a whole Vince McMahon murder thing, was there? Or was he murdered or dead or whatever?
Oh, it was the limo. Do you remember that? It was
and they had to just stop it. They had to stop it completely, didn't they, because of the whole Benoit thing? So we never really got a conclusion that he just appeared on naturally because he had to. But so it wouldn't be the first time he's tried to on-screen kill himself.
This is very true. But hopefully, Bobby Roode's career isn't another on-screen death because, it seems like there's something stopping him getting brought up to the main roster. So obviously, with Dolph Ziggler, he was traded to Raw, and we've not seen him since. Obviously, those guys were acting as a tag team for some period of time. But
I can't decide what's worse, being on WWE Underground or not being on TV at all. I don't know who got the worst end of that deal.
I mean, fucking hell, he's definitely got the better end of it, I'd say. But yeah, our pal Dave Meltzer, was asked about Roode's status, and he said, "Oh, it's possible." Because, he doesn't know anything. It's possible that Roode is the mysterious NXT Vandal. It's also possible that he's, living in a farm in Calgary.
I'll be straight with you, Carl. The NXT Vandal has been so impactful that I watch NXT. I do the review for NXT every week, and I barely mention it. And I even have to go to myself, "What a Vandal?" I had to remind myself what was going on there. That's how important that is.
I mean, we've had Bobby Roode off TV all this time to show up as a potential forgetful Vandal in NXT, and this is how much Dave Meltzer knows. Yeah, so my sources are telling me the NXT Vandal is either Bobby Roode or Bo Dallas. Right. Okay.
Oh, hang on. My sources, Carl, are telling me that it's going to be a WWE superstar.
Hang on. My sources are telling me there's too much of them on the plate. It's covered the chips, Anthony. It's covered the chips. Shit. Too much sauce. But
too much sauce.
Too much sauce. Oh no, I've done it again. Face paint. But yeah, I don't know. Like, but by all accounts, it seems like he's a Triple H guy, brought up to the main roster. Vince just doesn't like him for whatever reason. And you could say, oh, because he's a TNA guy and whatever. But AJ Styles, he fucking loves. So I don't know.
Loves
maybe
him.
Just
can't get enough.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. He's just
again, like they totally killed his momentum, like they do everyone, like Shinsuke coming up. AJ Styles got the saving grace of never being on NXT, so they didn't fuck it up when he came to the main roster.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like, right, well, we're gonna do that, and you're gonna come in, and everyone's gonna love you. They're gonna have a head of steam. They're all gonna chant with you, because he reminds me a lot of Shinsuke, because you have a badass theme. People are gonna sing along with it because they're just awesome. They're gonna be so hyped for you, and then we're not gonna know what to do with you. We might make you fight Corbin because that's what we do with people, and then whatever.
Oh, I hate Corbin.
I'm not even taking the piss. That's basically saying, should we put him against Matt Riddle again? Yeah, fuck it, why not?
That is the format. Okay, new guy. What do we do? Corbin? Yes.
Yeah. It is like a video game. Do you remember the old Mortal Kombat when you had to work your way up the pillars? Your first round's Corbin.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're on fucking novice mode right now, I'll tell you. Jesus Christ.
Riddle wins.
Brosome victory.
Nice. So, so Bobby Roode might be a vandal. There could be a scandal. Is this something NXT can handle?
Oh. I was going to use handle.
Sorry. The next one, Carl. A strange one indeed. The suggestion. Now, I didn't realize this, but the WWE are currently located in the Amway Center in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
And they're currently in the Thunderdome, which they've been hyping up like fuck, right? And to be honest, they'll be hit and miss. I do like the ability to produce the effects all across the arena. I think it's a nice enclosed environment. The piped-in audience and the screens aren't working out. They've had a few issues with the screens. Okay. But what I didn't realize is they only were contracted there, or they only had the lease or whatever you want to call it. They were only due to be there until the end of October, with spec to extend that stay. But the suggestion here, Carl, from what we're reading, is that they may be looking at resuming traveling and obviously offering a few, going on the road again. So we might see that they will actually leave this big, expensive fucking endeavor in the Thunderdome after the end of October. And we come back to get your Christmas in and let's drive around again on the road, because not only have we sacked a load of talents and stifled them and stopped them from making money outside from third parties, what we're also going to do is keep them away from their families now around Christmas.
Okay.
Because Vince says when it's Christmas. I joke, obviously. I've just totally made a load of leaps there, but potentially they could be on the road again. Which is
listen, pal. It's Christmas working for the WWE, pal. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I am not a fan of the Thunderdome. I've said it before. I will say it again. I think it's bogus. So maybe
totally
fucking bogus. You can check out Bill and Ted's sequel. No, I am just. Yeah, it's not for me. It does not work for me in any way, shape, or form. So,
do you not even like the effects from it? The fact that they can they can use the screens that they've put everywhere into like entrances and stuff. Do you not like that? Is that not?
I mean, they can.
I enjoy it.
Don't.
Well, they do with the Fiend, don't they? Like that was.
Well,
the
I was going to say
they used
it. They used it this week with the Fiend.
They used it last time the Fiend was about. It's just so sporadic with the Fiend that you don't notice.
Yeah, it just.
We're going to use it.
Like, I know everybody knows by now I'm a big AEW fanboy, and don't get me wrong, I'm a WWE fanboy. I've watched it all my life, and I'm never going to not like the product or watch it. But the way they've handled it, the two different companies, is night and day. Like AEW has an atmosphere again, and fine, it's a super limited capacity, but it's significantly more atmospheric.
How much of a difference does it make, though?
So it's like
how much of a difference, man.
Yeah.
Just being able to hear people sing along to Jericho's theme again just does something.
Exactly.
I'm like, yes.
Exactly. Like wrestling, like it's so weird to be doing a podcast about wrestling, which thrives on a crowd during a pandemic where there's no crowd. And us reporting on it every week, I've kind of forgot how good it is with the crowd. And I think I've been saying to you a couple of times, like rehearsing for the Roland Rumble next year.
Oh yeah.
And trying to think about what we can put on for that. Like just watching old clips and watching like AEW with Cody and stuff like that, and you see the crowd and you see the emotion, and it's something that can't be replicated. You know what I mean? With a Thunderdome.
This is the crazy thing, because you like whenever you see wrestlers being spoken to about the business and what they love about it, a lot of them talk about that electricity in the air and stuff like that, and that feeling must just be so negated now because there's just not. I think of some of the fantastic moments that have just been so based on like people just getting behind somebody. Look at the Yes movement as a recent example, a fairly recent example. Imagine Daniel Bryan's sort of rise to the top of the card without the audience. Like it's so difficult, and this is what really gives me sympathy for the likes of Drew McIntyre, who has had his entire title run with no audience. Like it must be so hard to work with.
I feel so sorry for Drew. If you think about it, the years he's put in, the effort he's put in to go from 3MB to the fucking specimen that he is today, and to get that organic crowd reaction and all the way up to WrestleMania, and then it just be pulled away from him and have to do this thing without any fan reaction. I proper feel for the guy, like really, really do. But yeah, I don't know. I think if they move away from the Amway and they go traveling around the arenas and stuff again, I mean, but part of me is like, well, if you think about it, Florida is fucking rife with COVID at the minute. So it's like maybe it's a better thing to do than not have your permanent base there. And same for AEW as well to a degree. But
the trouble is, and I don't want to get, I'm really going to skirt over this because this is not what this podcast is about, right? But COVID, especially in America, and I'm not going to try and say that we're totally blameless in this country, but especially in America, has become so political as well. So like, you know, depending on what party you support, like the numbers of cases is totally fucking different. It's unreal. And I get, you know, we're getting all that kind of stuff around here, like in our side of the pond, as it were, where people are trying to say it's a hoax and so on like this. And it's like, and like, how do you even work with that? Like, I honestly wouldn't blame WWE for staying the way the fuck out of it and not traveling at all until this is like, hopefully, like, you know, we're on the other side of it. It's almost a forgotten thing, but like, I don't know. The opinion on it has become so sort of polarizing as well.
Yeah, definitely.
People are getting angry if you wear a mask now. It's like, what the fuck? Like,
let
everyone do their own fucking thing.
Yeah, you know, as long as you're home by 10 p.m., then the virus can't get you in the UK, which is
because
makes perfect sense.
Well, I mean, the virus is really busy right now, so like they only get to us around 10 o'clock, so it makes a bit of sense. So you know,
yeah. All I will say, channeling my inner Stormzy, is fuck the government and fuck Boris. Anyway, we're on to our next one.
Not to get political, so we'll breeze past that.
We'll be super political. But yeah, so my next one, Anthony, it's a small one, but it's worth it's interesting. It's worth noting.
A bold.
So, as we know, we've been chatting week on week now around different trademarks. So AEW filing quite a few trademarks, and now WWE are filing some of their own. But they've actually filed a new trademark on the Ultimate Warrior, around his facial face paint mask design. And I'm guessing they filed it. From what it seems, they filed it for merchandise sales. But yeah, small one. But at the same time, I don't know. Do you think?
Well, I wanted to talk to you about this because I'm actually a little bit intrigued, because I thought, right, I know that, you know, they kind of put some things to bed with Ultimate Warrior before he passed away. So I know it wasn't as toxic an atmosphere as it used to be. But I didn't realize that his wife is actually working for WWE right now.
Yeah, so I think after Warrior passed away, his wife Dana kind of took over the whole Warrior Award and the charitable stuff for that kind of side of things. So yeah, she's currently an employee.
Because I was actually a little surprised initially when I read this, and I was like, okay, I'm surprised WWE have managed to get to that. You think his family would have that copyright or jump on that copyright? Similar to like Cody, where he's like, nope, ours. Um, but then when I read a little bit further in the article, they mentioned that she's working for the company. I'm like, well, okay. So again, still kind of surprising that she wouldn't want to keep the copyright and then let WWE use it. But hey ho. Yeah, so I was quite surprised at that. It just shows you how far they've come in that sort of relationship, I suppose. But yeah, it's got to be for merch sales, isn't it? Like because it's the likeness and the face paint, I believe they've mentioned. So what we're talking action figures, T-shirts, video game characters, you name it.
Well, I believe so. It was noted back in February 2019. They filed a similar trademark on the mask design, where this was to be used in toys and games. Whereas I believe this one is to be used in merchandise potentially. So
right,
yeah, I'm guessing it means like T-shirts and stuff. They might be doing like a classics collection again, or they might we've not had the Hall of Fame yet because obviously with everything that went on with WrestleMania. So
of course,
maybe
yeah,
they've
it's
got
actually
intentions
been
of
delayed indefinitely, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously, like Bulldog, for example, was going to be inducted this year, but I think there was also going to be the Warrior Awards again. So maybe they might be doing something in that realm as well. But yeah, small one, but interesting nonetheless. I wonder what they're going to do.
Yeah, intriguing nonetheless. But again, we seem to have copyrights on the news every fucking week now. Just out there, they're getting them all. So, Carl, do you remember Malcolm Bivens debuted a tag team that I probably am going to pronounce wrong, but oh well, called Indus Share, which was those two big behemoths, right? And he was obviously going to be their mouthpiece because it seems they didn't talk all that much. So anyway, we had these two wrestlers, I believe Rinku and Saurav. Again, apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And they looked like they were going to get a nice big push, but unfortunately, and again this has been reported by Meltzer, they are no longer. WWE haven't got any plans for that tag team at the moment. Now, I think it's important to note that the one of these members of this tag team, I want to say it was Saurav, actually was the one who put a picture up on his social media account spoiling the Keith Lee result when he won both belts.
Okay.
So there's speculation that is this potentially a punishment? Like you're in the bad books now, so that they've no immediate plans for the tag team at the moment. And I never really connected it until I read that sort of part of it. But yeah, we kind of haven't really seen the tag team since then. Well, since before then, in all fairness. But like, I wouldn't surprise me if that's totally hindered their push because we've got a really quite a good little tag division going in NXT at the minute. I'm not sounding patronising, throwing a little in there. But we've got Breezango holding the titles. We've got Imperium. We've got the other guys. We've got Legado del Fantasma. There's a fair bit going on. So there would have been a nice little inclusion in that. And I would have said almost like if they'd have built it right, especially with Malcolm Bivens, a legitimate option for the tag titles as well. So yeah, a shame in a lot of respects, and again it's speculative as to why that push has disappeared. But what do you make of this, Carl? Are you going to miss them?
I think it's really interesting the point you made around it being one of those guys who potentially leaked the Keith Lee thing. So I think in this business you've you don't have many second chances, shall we say? So it's quite feasible that in itself was the sole reason for this whole thing happening, and just by proxy, his tag team partner happened to also take the fucking hit for that. But
it's just a shame though, because like it's who determines what your second chance is, if you know what I mean? Because like, without sounding extreme, Daniel Bryan lost his first chance by choking a guy.
Well, yeah, that's
and
true.
then this guy's put something on social media. So it's like, okay, there's a stark difference there between what your second chance.
I feel like there is, but at the same time, I feel like to someone like Vince, choking a guy is a lot less punishable unconscionable than ruining a storyline. Like if you think about Vince's mindset.
To be fair, yeah, because the choking thing was in keeping with the storyline.
Yeah, and plus Vince is a psychopath anyway, so he'd probably be like, okay, it's not that bad, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, am I going to miss them? No. I don't really know that much of them.
They never started, did they? Let's face it. They fell flat. They come out. They I think squashed a couple of people that we hadn't heard of, and then that was kind of that. It kind of fell really quite quickly. So we didn't see them build up enough to miss them. But I don't know. The potential was there. They were monsters really. So it's a shame. It is a shame. Could have been a good tag team. Could have been. Really want to scratch my nose, Carl.
File
really
it.
Want to scratch it.
Can you scratch either side?
No, it's right in the middle. I'm just going to ignore it. We'll power through. Everyone has their cross to bear, Carl. This is mine.
They do. That is the dedication, folks, that we put on to present this podcast to you on a weekly basis. Tell you.
And let's not forget, we're not just like we've got to finish this podcast and then we've got to remove our makeup. There's loads of problems here.
That's it. I mean, there's gonna be a few times where I need to just go and powder my nose. So, it's hard going. It really is hard going. So the next one we've got for you folks, Stephanie McMahon. Vince's kid. She has.
I think didn't Jericho call her something different?
So many names. Which one to choose? But yes, that one has sold 43% of her WWE stock, worth over $2 million. So interesting. Like I don't know whether this percentage is accurate, but I believe she sold a significant amount of her Class A WWE stock, which is obviously of the highest value. But I do also believe she's got a shitload of other class stock. So whether that's 43% of total stock or just Class A, I'm not sure.
See, this is the bit that confused me because is it 43% of her stock that she has? So she still owns a fair fucking amount of it. And then I don't even get me started on the classes because I have no fucking idea. So she's not in danger of not being involved in the company anymore. But is this a sign of the times, Carl?
Well, I mean,
are they selling while it's high because it's not going in the other fucking direction, is it?
I mean, it's like I think we've spoken a few times in the past around different people selling stocks. I think Triple H, Vince, there's been like a few people now who've sold stocks, and typically it's quite normal for them to do so. They sell stocks, then they, buy more back at a different rate and so on and so forth. But the timing of it, when you think about, how the rating decline has been going, how the AEW prominence and the rise has been going, it does beg a few questions. You know what I mean? I think is she now trying to think, well, okay, shit, I don't really have much faith anymore, and therefore I need to sell my stocks and recoup money while I can? Or is she just doing that thing that, many more intelligent and, wealthy person than you or I would do with their stocks and just cash in and then buy more or do other things down the line to is it normal? Who knows, because we're not stockbrokers. But
what if and this is my very limited knowledge of stocks, right? But I would suggest like cash money is better for her at this point, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like a stock can be at a certain value, but like that's based on like she can sell it now and she can actually have tangible cash. Like an example being Jeff Bezos of Amazon. They cite his net worth in the billions, right? And again, this is my very limited knowledge, so don't want anyone coming at me here for not understanding the stock market. I fucking don't, right? But his net worth is based in the billions, but a large portion of his wealth is in stock in Amazon, right?
Yeah.
But if he starts selling his stock, which is basically what Steph's doing, but if he starts selling his stock like significantly so he can actually have tangible cash, then that will cause a panic and the value of the stock will drop because it'll look like something's going on, right? And this is the bit that concerns me, is like Steph's selling her stock and she's making money. She's, presumably that $2 million they're talking about is what she's made out of selling that stock. But does that then cause fear, and because we're speculating on it now, and then therefore drop the value of the stock even further, because then that causes the panic that, well, if she's selling, then it must be needing to be sold. So this is a bit that concerns me, is like, is she cashing in now while it makes sense, because, you know, it's better having the money in the bank than watching the stock slowly dip. Do you know what I mean?
Somewhere Otis
I hope what I said made sense.
Money in the bank.
I hope what I said made sense. But like, someone's net worth isn't necessarily the tangible cash that they have. So I kind of get why she'd want to have some money there. But like, it does then that cause the whole panic. Is she, because she is a figurehead of the company, selling that percentage, that high amount of stock? That sounds a bit worrying, doesn't it? On paper, that sounds kind of concerning. Like, if you were a stockholder on one of the lower classes, wouldn't you be like, why the fuck is she selling up?
Yeah, I definitely think it's interesting. I don't believe that percentage quoted is all of their stock. Like, it must just be a Class A stock, which I think, you know, Triple H and Vince have both done similar things in the past, over like the past 2 years in particular, and sold some of their Class A stock. But they still maintain.
And I could be totally wrong, but how drastic is it? Because, like, are they saying 43% of her stock? And then how much stock did she have? Because that might not be a great amount. Like, it sounds a lot, doesn't it? But if I hold 2 shares and sell one, I've sold 50% of my stock. You know what I mean? Like,
no,
how much is she actually? You know, I know it's worth $2 million, but it's $1 billion company. So I don't know. Like, in the grand scheme, how much is that really?
Yeah, I think so. I think according to SEC filings, Stephanie sold 57,500 shares of Class A stock.
Damn. Okay, that's a lot.
But she
more than
owns,
my 2 shares.
But she still owns 76,200. Yeah, so basically, yeah, I was right. So she sold 57,500 shares of Class A, but she still owns 76,500 shares of Class A. But she owns shitloads of Class B, C, all this other stuff. So it's not, you know, be all end all. But
isn't it a criminal offence to sell Class A?
That's what they say.
Drugs. My bad.
But yeah, so, you know, I guess I don't really understand the rationale behind it, because, you know, as I said, I don't trade in the stocks that much.
That's the rationale. It's all cash.
Pretty much. But yeah, I don't know. Like, you know, by all accounts, it's quite a common practice for people who hold a lot of shares. So I don't know what the next step is. Do they just get other shares? Do they work up like through classes and stuff like that? I don't really know. But
she's going to be a real thing. Git to her dad and buy shares in XFL. Well, the Rock's got it now. Yeah.
Well, I mean, interestingly, I believe the way Vince funded the XFL was with his sale of his shares from Class A stock. So,
well, I mean, there's some suggestion that he used WWE money and upset some shareholders as well. Sorry, that never happened.
Hi, Vince. Oh wait, hi, Vince. Yeah. No, we'd never say that. No, that is good shit. You're right, sir. Okay, bye-bye.
I'm assuming he was talking about the face paint. Some good shit. But no, he'd probably want to sue us. Probably.
But yeah, so no, interesting nonetheless. I don't know what is going to happen with that, but yeah, let's see. Is it a scare tactic? Is it like a worrying time, or is it just business being business? Stay tuned. We'll update you.
Probably.
Maybe.
So the next one, Carl. Do you remember WrestleMania 36? Do you remember it?
Yeah.
Like, memorable for so many reasons. The first one that didn't have an audience, like, totally had to change off the cuff.
Oh yeah.
What we did get was an awesome cinematic match between AJ Styles and The Undertaker. One that many say is the perfect way to end his illustrious career, with him riding off into not the sunset, because it was the middle of the fucking night, but riding off on his motorcycle. And then it was hinted on the Last Ride documentary that, you know, he is in fact retired. That's him done. And whilst we all speculated, you know, he'll be back. They all come back. Look at Ric Flair. You know, let's see how long he lasts. Not even a year, apparently, Carl. So we've recently had a fan Q&A with Mr. Taker. and they were asking about his varying personas and the potential of a return, and they were referring to the Dead Man or the American Badass or Big Evil or whichever, and he basically said that they can forget the first two. That he's much more likely to return as the Big Evil character, which now has led to this whole fury of like, is he coming back because he hasn't ruled out Big Evil? So he's basically semi-retired, I would call it, because he's like, I'm not doing all that Dead Man hat and big coat gimmick. Fuck that. I'm just gonna turn up as me, because he doesn't want to grow his hair or dye his hair dark because he's actually a ginger. He doesn't want to do any of that anymore. So this seems like a big hint that he could be coming back on some capacity. Now, this is all very rumor mill, very early stages. There's no like, oh, he's going to turn up at Backlash or anything. For me, I think it'd be logical, not necessarily having a match, but turning up at WrestleMania would certainly be a logical step. But what do you make of this, Carl? Because I honestly thought he was going to be retired for a little bit longer.
I mean, I don't know. You can either go. I mean, I can't even use the Shawn Michael example anymore because he's fucking back every week these days.
Shawn Michael example.
But the Michael Hickenbottom example. But yeah, I don't know. For me, you can either be Terry Funk retired or you can be actually retired. And I feel like it'll be a real shame if Taker is one of those guys who, because if you think about it, he put his fucking hat and his gloves in the ring, perfect retirements back at fucking WrestleMania, whatever it was.
Yes.
That was it. It was done. He's back, he's back, he's back.
Yes. Whatever.
Yeah, he has the Saudi match. He has, these awful encounters with him, which is obviously a shell of himself. And then
he actually had two more WrestleManias.
Cinematic...
After the hat and gloves, he actually had another 2 WrestleMania matches, didn't he? Not including 36. That was like another 2. He spent years after that.
And who were they? One of them was Shane, wasn't
it? Shane, and I think he had Bray Wyatt as well, because the Roman Reigns one was the one where he put his hat and gloves in the ring.
Right.
So, the Roman Reigns was the year after he lost the streak to Brock, and then he had one against Bray, I believe, and then Shane, and then AJ. Yeah,
did he lose
basically
to WrestleManias on the bounce?
Lot. Yeah.
Did he?
He lost to. I've been drinking. I'm not researching this. I could be wrong, but he definitely lost 2.
He's definitely lost 2.
The streak is now, and I'm confident Roman Reigns was the year after. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
got his groove back by ruining Bray.
Well, like the Reigns thing, was perfect, wasn't it? Like the whole thing. Finally, the big dog took his yard. Undertaker's done.
Would have been perfect if they used Reigns right, and now we know they can. Just saying, WWE.
But yeah, so I don't know. Like it could have ended nicely so many times, and it's like even the whole fucking cinematic things with AJ, that wasn't the way I'd want him to go out. I think I said to you at the time, like I don't want Taker's last match to be a cinematic fucking match that no one got to see, and no one got to be like.
You did.
So, part of me wants him to come back, but do I think Undertaker, however many fucking years old, could come back as Big Evil? No, like Undertaker still made sense. He was like a fucking zombie, wasn't he? But I don't know, like to come back as Big Evil, this fucking badass biker guy. I don't know. But I would like to think that we haven't seen his final match yet. I'd like to think he does go out on his sword in front of the crowd and finally has a proper send off. But who knows? Like if it's not this year, then he's only getting older, isn't he? So yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm totally with you. I love seeing Undertaker, and I'll forever be happy whenever he turns up on WWE. But it's difficult for me. Like he's looked really good in the ring the last few times we've seen him, so I can't even really complain about that. Not in his prime, but a lot better than the Roman Reigns match. And I'm not saying it because it's the Roman Reigns match, but he was clearly in pain. I take your point. It'd be nice to not go out on a cinematic, but I don't know. Just seeing him would be fine. Like I don't. For me, I don't need another match. I think just having him appear at WrestleMania because that's kind of his thing. Definitely a good shout. But it certainly seems he's not done with the biz, and I don't think you can ever truly be done with the biz from what we've seen of wrestlers.
I'm the biz, and I'm awesome.
Just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. It seems that kind of thing like no one's ever truly done. And there's something kind of beautiful about that, isn't it? Really, that like it's a passion rather than a career, isn't it?
I mean, I always think back to the movie The Wrestler and thinking back to Roddy Piper watching it with Mickey Rourke and breaking down into tears and stuff, because that is the life of a wrestler. You've been this megastar who gets like thousands of people cheering for you and chanting your name and stuff, and then one day you have to hang it all up.
That's the problem. That's the addiction, isn't it? That like, how can you ever replicate that thrill? And like, let's face it, if Degeneration X turned up tomorrow, if like the New World Order turned up tomorrow, people would be hyped, and then they get that adrenaline again from everyone chanting them. Like, how is it? Like, I can totally understand why they wouldn't. Like, this is why I'm glad we've never wrestled a match, Carl, because I feel like we'd probably be addicted to that. Here's hoping, you know. You never know, Carl. I mean, we're getting on a bit. Will we ever be seen in the ring? Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think I could ever wrestle me best friend.
No.
Yes.
How would that work? I mean, I don't dislike you, Carl. Why would I want to wrestle you?
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense for us. But they say adrenaline junkie, don't they? That obviously means something. It's a very real thing to have that adrenaline kick and to just crave it. Like if you look at Ric Flair, for example, he needed that. It was the only thing keeping him going. And when he didn't have that anymore, he fell into really, really dark times and stuff, and started like being self-deprecating of himself and not feeling like he could live up to achieving that pop and stuff. So yeah, it's a massive thing. And I think, for The Undertaker, he's going to struggle with it just like anyone, because he's been in this business forever. He's been the main event WrestleMania like attraction for years and years. And it's like to just give that up and to give it up not in front of the crowd and feed off that reaction, it's going to eat away at him. So I think, I can definitely see him coming back. But the whole Big Evil thing, I don't know. For me, I prefer to see Deadman, but
to be honest, I honestly, no disrespect to take it, I don't think we're going to get Big Evil. I think we're going to get Mark Calloway.
Yeah.
That's the reality. He's probably going to, don the leathers and dress the part, but we're going to get an Undertaker who doesn't have to put on an act. That's what this is. Because Big Evil was probably the closest to being Mark Calloway that you'll get. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a way. So I think he's basically just saying a lot less character work. He's just going to turn up. Because he's still a towering figure of a man. So he's just going to turn up and be intimidating. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
But come back, Taker. We love you anyway. Fuck it.
Come back, Taker. Please. So the next one. Speaking of the sassy bastard who ended the Undertaker's, he's the second guy to end his streak. Roman Reigns. He's been sassing again. He's been sassing, Anthony. He's been sassing. He's been going on to the interwebs. He's been chatting.
The old interwebs, yeah.
Old interwebs. And basically, he's been a fucking sassy motherfucker. And he's saying, when being asked about the Shield and then breaking up and stuff like that, and whether or not they're ever going to see a reunion, he said, well, I guess Ambrose or Moxley really screwed that up, didn't he? He messed around and he just left us. What a bastard.
I don't know. I wonder whether this is like one of them things where it's like, he's kind of joking with Mox to get a rise out of Mox, or whether he's trying to in-keep with his own heel persona or whichever. I wonder sometimes whether like there's no actual animosity there, but it sounds like a cunty thing to say, but let's build some heat, why not? But
100%.
Especially because the Shield reunion was stopped because of you, Roman, and I know you couldn't avoid that, but it wasn't because of Mox.
Well, exactly.
But
there's no real animosity there. You can tell that. You could see that from Clash of Champions this week. Fucking Renee Paquette, not Renee Young because she's left now. So Renee Paquette,
she's not young anymore.
She's not young anymore.
Oh, that was harsh.
She was already quoted as saying oh, look at those abs, Roman. But don't worry, it's cool. It's not weird that I can say that and stuff. So obviously Moxley and Reigns are like fucking as like thick as thieves, aren't they? They're like best mates.
So and I feel like this was more of like a little bit of an in joke that as just like he said it publicly, so people are like, oh, but you know, The reality, I thought, there's no real hurt there, and
100% not.
He must know that Mox made the right choice for himself. Because if he'd have stayed in WWE and just carried on being so unhappy with what he was doing, bear in mind when he left, it was around the time he was having to wear a fucking gas mask, which ironically would be really, really fitting right now.
Exactly, just be part of Retribution, wouldn't he? But yeah, I don't know. I think
if he was still there now, you'd have him being like, "I told you, look, coronavirus has got everyone. I told you." That's what WWE would have him doing.
I think, there was rumours, wasn't there, by all accounts, that like the likes of Roman Reigns had inquired to AEW and stuff. So there's a lot of people who we know weren't happy with the
didn't we get it
characters.
Officially from some guy that definitely not Roman? Roman definitely wasn't one of those people. He's happy. Didn't we get that?
Yeah, definitely. And then interestingly,
we're so definite on this that it makes you think that maybe he did.
Yeah, I mean, like, no, I'm sure it had nothing to do with it. It's not like immediately when he came back, he got to have a completely different character and turn heel and everything. So
immediately got everything he wanted.
So yeah, definitely not. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was definitely a bit of play. I think between the two of them, but definitely a bitchy comment. I think from Roman. But I'm interested to see whether Moxley fires back anyway.
I think Moxley will fire back. We can expect a bit of fire.
Oh yeah.
And Moxley will be allowed to. I'm sure Roman will get told not to interact with AEW people soon enough. But Mox will be fine. He'll fire back. Next one's mine, isn't it, Carl?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So we've got Retribution again. Yay! So we've had T-Bar at it again. He's apparently, apart from being like, this production whiz who likes to mess with the VTs and the lighting and all this kind of, he's proper like nerdy when it comes to the AV stuff. He's also like a proper social media presence. He's all over that as well. And good old Titty Bar has took a shot at AEW and kind of Jericho as well. In that he's. Did you need a minute, Carl?
Probably tickle me that one. Have you called him Teabag? I didn't even think to call him Titty Bar. That's amazing.
I think that's very British, that though. I don't know if I mean, you can clearly tell what I'm getting at, but I don't know if that's more of a British colloquialism.
I like it.
But anyway,
of course I do.
He's put some tweets out there, Carl, in relation to there was a news article where Fozzy have caused a bit of controversy because they are linked to potentially causing 250,000 new cases of coronavirus, even though if you ask, no, I'm not getting political. It was definitely 250,000 and not 10,000 like they want to suggest. Anyway, so he's sort of made a shot at that. It simply just wrote, huh? With a question mark on his Twitter, and then Mace joined in because, he's in Retribution. I don't know anything about you, Mace, sorry. Is he Predator? Is that Predator? Is that the one? Is that who Mace is? Or is Mace Jason? I don't know.
Let's go with that.
Anyway, he's put, please consider wearing a mask with all funky fonts, because they know how to, because the nerds, right? And then we've had people sort of firing back at them, like, trolling on Twitter, that's what you get in 2020 and that kind of thing. T-Bar again responded to this kind of comment and said that our promos are heard by millions. Your red hot AEW takes are heard by, 20. So he's had a little shot at AEW as well. Now, I'm all for, rivalries and all that. But again, T-Bar, I'm speaking directly to you now because I know you'd listen probably. I don't know. Your character and the whole point of Retribution is that you're rebelling against the system and you're going to bring WWE down. So maybe being on social media and being a little WWE mark and taking shots at AEW like a lot of people do might not actually be in keeping with that fucking gimmick.
There's a novel idea, Anthony.
Because I'm all for whatever you want to do. You want to make yourself known. You want to put some shots out there on. But this is actually detrimental to your storyline, isn't it? Because you're now essentially defending WWE and taking shots at a rival company. Yeah, that sounds like something who's going to. Yeah, let's get contracts and then be on social media all the time and like take shots at other companies who aren't as good as our company that we're trying to bring down from the inside. Apparently, bollocks. stupid storyline, stupid fucking team, stupid fucking gimmick. And this isn't as funny as your Eric Bischoff one, if I'm honest. So,
yeah, I think he it's a bit of an anomaly when he hit that one off the park. I think he thought, "Oh, I'm funny now," and then he tried again, and it was a fail.
I know some people have loved it, but I'm like, whatever. You know what I mean?
It's like, am I being funny? If you look at his Twitter feed, I'm just being looking at it now. It's like, it's the fucking shittest thing. You're like, good night to everyone except WWE. It's like, oh, really? Like, okay.
It's like, this one goes out to Vince. You're not my real dad. Like, they're so lame, and they don't even know that they're lame. Kind of like us. Ha!
Hey, what are you talking about? Cool,
I thought I'd get that little joke in there before someone else did.
A little jock.
Little
fucking jock.
Yeah. So that is the Ringside Report. Now we're going to be covering the Big Four and Clash of Champions after this break.
WWE superstar Cedric Alexander here to ask you one question, or maybe many questions. Do you like wrestling? Do you like podcasts? Do you have YouTube? Do you have Spotify? Do you have any other form of social media where you can listen to podcasts? Well, then you should be listening to A to the K Wrestle Talk. That's A to the K Wrestle Talk. Listen to it because I said so.